What's up guys, my name is Mark, and in this video we're going to take a look at the Fuji X-T30. A camera so good, it's worth getting up at 5 a.m. for. Well that, and of course this. Believe me, there's not a lot that can get me out of bed at that hour on a weekend. But this is a glimpse, and a glimpse by definition is an impermanent thing, so I've got to make the most of my time with this camera. The Fuji X-T30 is a powerful digital mirrorless camera packed into a stylish, compact, and lightweight body. It's the perfect blend of old world charm mixed with modern convenience, and best of all, it comes at a very affordable price point. Now when I first saw this camera, I thought almost immediately it would be the perfect camera to shoot vintage SLR lenses with. Now, breaking convention a bit, could this camera be purchased to shoot exclusively with vintage SLR lenses? Now that's the question I'm trying to answer in this video. Now the Fuji X-T30 is small and lightweight, which makes packing and carrying around much less noticeable. Now with the M42 to FX adapter, I've been shooting everything from a 17mm fisheye Takumar f4 to a 135 f2.5. And it really didn't matter what lens I had on it, it made for an impressive combination for all-around shooting while keeping the kit compact and lightweight. Now style can be pretty subjective, but the big thing that drew me to this camera initially was the vintage design. It comes in 3 colors. Now, this one is all black, but they also have a silver one and a new charcoal gray, which I think is my favorite. Now I particularly love the mechanical dials, especially the shutter speed dial. Now it scales by full stops. Now 1 stop doubles the shutter, but you can use the back dial here to fine tune the shutter speed to further hit the intervals in between. Now this camera has a lot of customizability, so you can set it up to exactly how you like it. Now on the back of the camera is a tilting 3-inch touch-sensitive LCD, which is particularly useful for navigating quick settings, photo viewing, as well as touch focus if you've got an autofocus lens mounted. But that won't work with these lenses. Now keep in mind the LCD screen doesn't rotate forward facing like some other camera brands do, but for my intended use, it's not a big deal. Now I personally found the EVF resolution to be decent. Not quite as sharp as some of the more expensive mirrorless cameras, but it's sharp enough for manual focusing even in bright midday sunlight. Now you wouldn't know it to see it, but the camera also has a built-in flash. It just about scared the heck out of me the first time it popped up like that. And I don't really use the flash all that much, but I do think it's nice that it comes equipped with one. Now I should mention that the camera is not weather sealed, but unless you're being paid, who wants to shoot in the pouring rain? Now it's also got a single SD card slot, which is hidden away in the battery compartment. No surprises there really for a camera at this price point. Now the menu system for me was pretty intuitive and easy to navigate. And despite never having shot Fuji before, there are lots of options, but I found I picked it up pretty quickly. Now as stylish and functional as the X-T30 body is, the real value is found below the surface. Now the camera sensor is a 26 megapixel APS-C X-Trans CMOS 4, which is the exact same sensor found in the more expensive Fuji X-T30. The camera can use either a mechanical shutter, maxing out at 8 frames per second, as well as an electronic shutter, which maxes out at 30 frames per second, albeit with a 1.25 times crop. But it also offers silent shooting, which can be handy in some conditions. Now the natural colors this camera renders are spectacular, especially if you're shooting JPEG and don't want to fuss too much with RAW files. The colors are vibrant, but not overly saturated. And at the same time, they're accurate and natural looking. Fujifilm's signature film simulations are all included as well. And initially I thought these would be a bit gimmicky, but found it's a lot of fun testing them and seeing what works best for a given shooting scenario. Now whether you're looking for vivid colors, moody black and white shots, or something with softer tones, this camera kind of has it all. And you can use them for both photo and video, which is awesome. Now, because I'm using vintage lenses on this camera, the manual focusing aids are really important for me. And the X-T30 has a few options which I found particularly useful for dialing in my focus. The digital split image, which has either a color or black and white option, works by making you line up the split image in the box. Once lined up, the image is in focus. Next up is the digital microprism, which sort of mimics what was found on old SLR cameras. Now it makes manual focusing in brighter conditions much easier. Not to mention a little digital nostalgia for those who learned on SLR cameras. Now peak highlighting is an option that's found on most mirrorless cameras. Now there are a number of different color options and intensities available. Of course, focus zoom, which digitally punches into a specified part of your frame, is usable with all of these options and is absolutely critical when trying to nail that manual focus, especially on a fast lens, wide open. Now, I've always been a video guy. I've kind of built my career on it, so the last thing I want to cover with this camera is its video capabilities, which are nothing short of impressive for a camera at this price. Yes, it shoots super sampled 4K up to 30 frames per second. But my old 2011 iMac can't process that footage very easily at all at this point. I need a new computer. But it's impressive nonetheless. And I mentioned earlier that all these color profiles are also available for video mode with this camera. But what's important for me in particular is the ability to shoot internal f-log for maximum dynamic range and color grading. Now, it is important to mention that there is a 10-minute per clip 4K record limit on this camera for internal recording. This is probably to avoid critical meltdowns. Meltdowns, as you know, are not good. Now you can get around that if you are hooking this up to an external recorder, which also allows you to capture 10-bit 422 color, which is amazing. Now, I don't think you're gonna find that anywhere else at this price point. I don't think. Now, if you're shooting HD like me, then you have more frame rate options. You can shoot up to 120 frames per second, albeit with a very small crop of 1.25 times at 120. Now, one thing to be mindful of when shooting video with this camera is that there is no in-body image stabilization, so extra care is needed when shooting handheld. Especially with vintage lenses because they don't have any optical image stabilization. Now it's easy enough to capture smooth cinematic footage, you just need to work on your technique. And of course, a simple tripod always works well, as does a slider or a gimbal. Now, 3 weeks, in my opinion, isn't really enough time to discover every option this camera has available. It is, however, enough time to give me an idea on how I like it. Initially, I was wondering if this camera could be purchased to shoot exclusively with vintage lenses. And based on my fairly extensive use with the camera over the past 3 weeks, I can honestly say that yes, I would absolutely buy this camera to shoot entirely with my vintage lens collection. Now, from a physical, aesthetical point of view, it feels like these Takumars were made for this camera, both on how they look mounted as well as the quality of image they render. It's a camera that just makes me want to get out and shoot at 5 a.m. So worth it though. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. If anyone has any questions or comments regarding the camera, leave them down below, I'd be happy to answer. Now, I do want to extend a very special thanks to Fujifilm North America for lending me this wonderful camera for the past 3 weeks. It's been a lot of fun and highly educational for me. All right, that's it. See you guys next time. Jesus. God, did it again. I can't believe that scares me.